Stupidity is dangerous. It is effing fucking dangerous. You know, a good way for one requirement for success is to, like, real success is to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. You know, you may be really good at one skill. They have that skill. Together, you go farther together than you do separately, generally speaking. But stupidity is fucking dangerous. And I don't want to get into it. I can't get into it. I shouldn't get into it, whatever the correct term is. But recently I've been dealing with a situation, and be careful having stupid people around you. You know, it's one thing just to be like friends with somebody or cool with somebody. There's nothing wrong with having friends who are idiots. Idiots can be fun to have as friends. But if you're trying to make something happen, well, the problem with having stupid people in your circle is that they're going to do stupid things, and it may reflect very poorly on you. It may even be dangerous. And I don't know. I mean, I'm dealing with a situation where it's like you see somebody doing something that is so, like, you see the Titanic headed towards the iceberg. You see the disaster ahead, and you're trying to get through to somebody because you know that disaster is coming if they don't change course. But they're stupid and they won't listen. And it's like you're sympathetic in a way because maybe it reminds you of something stupid you did once. Maybe there was a time when somebody was trying to get through to you and you didn't listen and you paid the price and you had to learn the hard way. And now this person is going to have to learn in a very hard way. And you see it and it's avoidable. It's avoidable. But they're stupid, and stupidity is fucking dangerous. One of the great all-time crime novels, it's widely regarded, or a lot of people believe it to be like the best crime novel of all time. Definitely a game-changing crime novel. It might have been published, I don't know, like 1973, if I had to guess, but it was in the 70s, we'll say. The Friends of Eddie Coyle. And it was a thin book, I don't know, maybe like 180, 182 pages. And it was written by a federal prosecutor, I believe out of Boston. Yeah. And he decided to become a novelist, and this was his first novel. And it was I mean, I don't know if he published 30 books, more or less, dozens of books, whatever it was. And none of them were as good as the first one. And Eric, I'll get to you in a second. Eric said, "Stop being so hard on yourself. If you only knew, my friend. If you only knew." The Friends of Eddie Coyle, and then they turned it into a movie with Robert Mitchum and great cast. And it's a phenomenal, like, gritty 1970s crime drama, and the book, it's like widely regarded as one of the game-changing crime novels, and it's almost like all dialogue, the majority of it. And it said, you know, this prosecutor, George V. Higgins, former prosecutor, like, he was just, you know, he was doing mob cases in Boston, whatever he was doing, and he was reading transcripts, and the book almost reads like transcripts. It's just different people talking to each other. And it's this, like, collection of lowlives and scumbags in the Boston area. And Eddie Coyle is the main character. And yeah, I don't want to give away the plot, but it just, you know, mobsters and scumbags and snitches and cops and feds, whatever the fuck it was, and bought bank robbers. And they made it into a movie, and it's a great fucking movie. But there's a line in there that, something to the effect of life's hard, but it's harder if you're stupid. And I'm dealing with a situation, and I'm not going to get the specifics, obviously, but imagine you're like a parent or an older sibling or an uncle to your nephew or your niece, and you see what's coming because you've been through it or you've been through something similar, and you can't change that fucking stupid person's mind. Change course, man. There's a fucking disaster right there. I see it coming. But this person thinks, nah, I got this. I got that. I got this. I got this. You don't got shit. What you're going to have is a fucking disaster on your hands of epic fucking proportions. Stupidity is dangerous, and you got to be careful who you have around you. Because stupid people do stupid, smart people do stupid things. It happens. That's how you become smart. And for many people, is you learn from the stupid shit you did. But sometimes you don't learn, and it's stupid people learn a lot slower. And I mean, you can't like blame somebody for being born with a slow brain. I guess it wasn't their choice that they have a low IQ, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if you can raise your IQ by doing exercises, some kind of mental gymnastics. I don't fucking know. But, some people are obviously born with much better brains than others, functioning quicker, whatever. Brian G said, is it someone on MobTube? I have no comment. But it's... You can have somebody that you care about in your life, a relative, a friend, but they're fucking stupid, and it's dangerous to have them in your life. Because you've seen what their stupidity has done. But you care about that person. You try to educate them and make them smarter, but they just do more dumb shit. And some dumb shit it's just dumb. It's, whatever. You live to fight another day. Live to do something dumb another day. You'll get past it. But some things are just so fucking stupid that you see it right there. And with this person I'm referring to, I see the iceberg right fucking there. I see it. And that Titanic is just heading straight for that iceberg. And the person won't listen. And I even think the person knows I'm right, but they're just fucking stupid and they're heading towards it anyway. Eric said he's talking about Gunsmoke. No comment. And no, I'm not talking about Gunsmoke. But or am I talking about Gunsmoke? No, I'm not saying who I'm talking about. Because I care about this person. And but stupidity is fucking dangerous. You got to be careful who you have around you. If you have fucking lowlifes around you, you're going to be looked at like a lowlife. If you hang out with rats, people are going to assume you're also a fucking rat. If you hang out with a fucking prison gang, people are going to assume you're probably a member of that prison gang or trying to join that prison gang. I mean, I don't know, associated with that prison gang, If you hang out with con men, people are going to think you're a con man. Eric said it's Angel Gotti. Well, I'll say this. If you hang out with Angel Gotti, people might think you're a neo-Nazi, credibly accused pedophile, a rapist who's possibly, been silenced by ICE or whatever the... Who knows in that department? Because she's fucking stupid, man. She is fucking stupid. She's fucking stupid. And I remember her brother, he would talk about, he would refer to her as his imbecile sister. She's you got to be careful with her because she's so fucking stupid that she's dangerous. I'm not talking about her, but she fits the category. I can say that much. Eric said, I'm just kidding. Yes, don't worry, Eric. You'll still be allowed on her show. Eric, what's up, brother? How are you, man? Eric, man, I'm dealing with a situation. I got somebody that I care about in my life who's fucking stupid and won't listen. And I'm trying not to be too judgmental because I don't want to be a hypocrite. Because I remember when I was young and stupid and wouldn't listen, and I paid the fucking price. I'm still paying the fucking price for dumb shit I did 20 years ago. Because some of it was really fucking stupid. Some mistakes, you can move on. Whatever. It's a funny story, whatever. I mean, like if you get arrested, but it's like it's funny and you're there with your friends in central bookings, you can laugh about it. Like, all right, we got fucking arrested, but hey, we had a great fucking night. I always thought about like prison. I don't know always, but for a long time I've thought if I ever had to go to prison, especially to do like real time, not like a skid bid, if it was for a worthy cause, I feel like I'd sleep fine at night. I'd be fine. Listen, it came down to it. I did what I had to do. I did that. I had to defend my family. I had to take a preemptive strike on someone or something because I saw a fucking problem coming. That was the only way I could figure out how to handle it. It was for a political cause, like a political prisoner. No, I stood up for what I fucking believed in, or a POW. No, we're here, like whatever for a worthy cause. I feel like most people. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to speak on myself. I feel like I'd be fine, no matter how long it was, whether it was a life sentence or 20 years or 1 year or 20 days. If it was for a worthy cause or something, something where I accepted the risk and I knew this could go wrong, but the reward would be worth it. I'm at peace with it. If it goes wrong, I'd be fine. But if it was for some dumb fucking shit, like some stupid fucking shit, I feel like I just be myself staring at the ceiling at night like I'm a fucking idiot. Like what am I fucked up, man. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to prison. And I don't plan on going, but it's if it was for a worthy cause, I just feel like I'd be fine. Like, well, this is the hand I got, the hand I was dealt. I played it the best way I knew how. Or, I mean, sometimes in life you got a problem and there is no answer. Okay, there's like 5 different answers you could apply, but are any of them really good? Like sometimes there's no like good answer to a problem. It is what it is. Just but it's stupidity is fucking dangerous, man. You got to be careful who you have around you. Be careful who you have around you. I'm not gonna. People are commenting in the chat. I'm not commenting on who it is. I'm not giving away specifics. And maybe they'll hear this. Maybe they'll hear this, and somehow I'll break through. But I got somebody in my life who's a fucking idiot. A fucking idiot. And they're headed towards such a fucking iceberg. And I'm trying to warn this person, educate this person, like, get off this path, man. And they won't fucking listen. And I've tried to be patient with this person because I have sympathy in a way for their stupidity. Because I'm reflecting on dumb shit I did when I was that person's age and how I wouldn't listen and I paid the price. And it's just like, I don't want to see you suffer. It's avoidable, but you won't fucking listen. And what are you going to do? Stupidity is dangerous. Yeah, if you're in business with people, you got your social circle, your immediate family, whatever. It's dangerous if you got a stupid person around you. Well, it can be very dangerous because a very stupid person is going to do very stupid things. A smart person from time to time will do something very stupid. But a stupid person, it's the norm to do stupid shit. And it can be very dangerous. Frankie said, I don't know who this Frankie is. Judging a book by its cover just might save your life. You know what? That's a yeah. You know what? You know what? That's so well said. Yeah, you know they say don't judge a book by its cover because you don't know what's underneath the hood, what's inside those pages. You don't know how that person got to where they're at. You know what they had to walk through. You know the shoes they had to walk in, what cross they had to bear that wasn't placed on them by themselves. Somebody else put it on them. But sometimes, yeah, just judging a book by its cover is just when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And sometimes it's just you see something, yeah, just you've been around the block enough times to know just don't go over there, don't go on that block because that person is fucked up in the head, man. That person is a problem. That person is fucking stupid, and I don't need that stupidity in my life because that's dangerous. Eric said it's Michael Sacchio. David said Sacchio is trying to stop him from going to Thailand again. No, no, man. No, man. It's I don't know the genesis of the beef between Eric and Michael. Um, I do know that this individual, Mr. Sacchio, I mean, I don't really want to badmouth the guy. Um, I'm not going to. The last thing I need is this guy doing a voodoo on me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the voodoo we did on SoFlo worked. That's why he's not here anymore. I don't know, but it's the dog thing, though. You know what I mean? I love my dog. If my dog wants to sniff another dog's ass or whatever, that's on my dog. But I would never let my dog lick a human butthole, as Mr. Sacchio stated that I guess his dog or somebody else's dog did to him. That's fucking weird, man. That's dangerous. That's stupid. It's dangerous because you don't know where that tongue has been. Was that tongue like that tongue could be carrying in shit from outside that it licked up, and now it's mixing with your shit in your ass. And whether that was he said that as a joke or as a fact or somewhere in between or a fantasy, I don't know. And if he wants to go to Thailand, what do I say to that? That was some bugged out shit, man. But I don't want to badmouth the guy. Maybe he's just eccentric. You know what I mean? I don't know. If that guy could just dial it back a little bit and not get his channels deleted all the time, he would probably have like 50,000 subscribers easily because he's got a radio voice and he's nuts and he's funny and he just goes a little too far, I guess. But a guy like that could easily have like 50,000 subs because he's a fucking he's a character, man. But Gravesend said Mike is misunderstood and you have Silo's picture in your avatar. Are you even from Gravesend or are you from Canarsie? I don't know. But Gravesend said it's too early in the morning for this shit, man. I have one friend that I grew up with, and oh my god, my other friend, it's childhood friends get together, and you're just snapping jokes because you're remembering shit from over the decades, just funny shit that happened. You relive these stories, these moments, especially as you get older and things aren't as wild as they used to be, like when you're a teenager, a kid, whatever. And it's I have a friend and we're all there cracking jokes, and one of our friends, our friend's wife, I remember she just said something to the effect of like, I've never heard so many shit jokes applied to one person. Like this person just had like he shit his pants like one time. Like, okay, so somebody was waiting for him outside where he lived, and the story was that the person was waiting to pick this person up, and he was late. He was keeping him waiting, and he just like, what the fuck? We got to be somewhere. And then he finally comes out, and he's like, yo, what the fuck? You're late. We got to be there. What are you doing? Whatever, right? We got to go. And he's like, and he, it was something to the effect of, he said that the guy said, like like he got defensive, like nigga, you're acting like you never shitted in your pants before, like some crazy story like that, and that's why he was late because he excremented himself, and oh gee, yeah, it's 7:03 in the morning on February 3rd, 2026, and Gravesend said, I live in Gravesend, Chris, right by LMB. Let me tell you something, man. I went to that LMB Spumoni Gardens, and it's cool. Like it would be dope to be if you're like a kid over there, a teenager, your early 20s, whatever, and out in like the summers or whatever, you could sit on the patio like late at night after the club, or just like teenagers, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night with the patio tables and just Italian ices or whatever, a slice late night, and just I'm sure if you're from that area that's so much fun to be there as a kid, a teenager, whatever, or at least back in the day. Now it's like you don't even see kids outside anymore. It's fucking crazy. It's been like that for a minute now, but the I think I went to LMB once, at least that I can remember, and I just didn't see what the big deal was with their pizza. I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I got a bad batch or something. I don't know. I didn't really see what the big. I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying it was bad. I just didn't. People rave about it like it's the best pizza in the world, and just I don't know. It wasn't my cup of pizza, I guess you could say. But obviously, they're a very popular establishment. Eric said, "Justice for Faye the Pitbull." Gravesend said, "Very few of us left, David. Listen, man, where I'm from in Queens, from Bayside, it's most of the people I grew up with don't live there anymore." Or at least from my immediate circle. And some people still do. They're neighborhood denizens. Like some people still do. But it's home will always be home. Like where you're from. At least if you live there for an extended period of time growing up, like if you lived in one place for a long time. And yeah, I guess I lived in Bayside for about 20 years, something like that. And it will always be home. And always like just going down there and just driving through the old neighborhood or whatever, and there's no kids. When I was a kid, there were always like dozens of kids outside, like, and everybody that grew up before social media and all that stuff will tell you, obviously, I don't have to repeat it, but it's crazy now. You drive by and it's empty, it's quiet, but you're reliving back these memories of when you were a kid growing up, and this happened over here and that happened over there. And text message, 7:06 in the morning. What does this person want? The David Dunn said Bensonhurst is Chinatown. Listen, where I grew up, it was a lot of Koreans. And I remember, on my last live, I was talking about my friend's dad who passed away, who I loved, Big Lou. I remember we were kids and we were in his dad's Jeep and we were driving, I don't know where, but he said something like, he's like, watch, and like, I don't know if he said 15, 20 years, 10 years, I don't know what the number was. He's like, watch, and however many years, it's all going to be Koreans over here. Because you saw them, not to sound racist, I don't mean like that, but I mean, it's just natural. That's the world, It's, people accumulate wealth. They move out of, that area. They go to an area with bigger houses and stuff like that, more wealth, and other people are moving in. And in 50 years, it'll be some other group moving in, most likely. But where I was, it was just more and more Koreans. Like it was like spreading out from downtown Flushing, down Northern Boulevard, down this boulevard, that boulevard, and into Bayside and everything. And man, fucking Koreans, man. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But where I grew up, when I was growing up, it wasn't like Bensonhurst where it was like all Italian or predominantly Italian. In Bayside, it was very, very diverse. There weren't so many black people and Indian people, but it was like everything else. Maybe not too many Muslim people, but a lot of Jews, Italians, Koreans, Irish. A lot of people were mixed. I had a whole bunch of I had numerous friends that were like half Puerto Rican and something else, like half Puerto Rican, Italian, whatever. But yeah, but my group of another text. Texted me at 7:08 in the morning, crack of dawn. Rocco said, Kevin Wu's still in the neighborhood, is he? Gravesend said, they know the deal. You bring the homeless in and the property value will drop. The Italians ran to Staten Island and Jersey. Let me tell you, my friend. Well, not my friend. I don't know you, but you're a friend of the show. You're a friend of me if you're here, I guess. No, I don't mean to disrespect you. I don't know who you are, but thank you for being here. Let me tell you something. The Staten Island to me is New Jersey. When you go over to Verrazano, you're in, as far as I'm concerned, you're in New Jersey. You know, because it's Staten Island is just so much different than the rest of the city. So much different. And it's almost like, you know, it's like, or it shouldn't even be a borough. It should be like Long Island. It should just be 4 boroughs. That's like my take on it. And Staten Island should be absorbed by New Jersey, or it should be like Long Island. You know, it just, no, it's not part of the city. It's just, but it's part of, you know, whatever. My humble opinion. But no, but I remember when I was growing up, you know, I had peoples in Staten Island and I was in Queens, and it was just like culture and stuff, you know, like when there was a new fashion trend or a new this or a new that. It's like, I remember we always had it like 3 months before them out in Staten Island. At least the people I knew in Staten Island. But it just, you know, some people stay in Staten Island their whole lives. They're denizens, whatever. And a lot of other people can't wait to escape. Gravesend said Staten Island is the forgotten borough. No, Staten Island is the armpit of America. It's like the hairs in the armpit. And Jersey is like the pit, I guess. I don't know. And they don't got no fucking deodorant on it. But I had an ex-girlfriend in Staten Island. She was from there. And then she moved out while we were still dating, but we dated for a few years. And there are some nice parts of Staten Island, for sure. But it's just like a whole other thing out there. Everyone is running to Jersey now. I like Atlantic City. South Jersey, the shore and all that. Gravesend says, LMAO, Chris, I used to say that all the time. Staten Island is the armpit of NYC. It's the landfill of NYC, right? I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but they probably got the most landfills. I mean, I don't know, but there are probably so many dead bodies that got buried in Staten Island that were never discovered. You know, back from like the 70s, the 80s, even the 60s or whatever. I don't know at what point they just started burying murder victims. I don't know when, but there are probably a whole bunch of undiscovered bodies out there from back in the old mob hits, old gangland hits, you know, gang warfare, just old school murders from the 80s. People have just disappeared. What happened to him? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the demographics are now in Staten Island, but I remember when I was younger, it was like, I think it was like 52% or 48% Italian. So every other person you met was Italian, you know? And in the words of the great Richard Pryor, the late Richard Pryor, fuck, I forget the quote from his stand-up, but the one where he's doing that bit about Youngstown, he's like, what did he say? He's like, not all Italians are in the mafia, but all Italians work for the mafia. I forget the quote. I don't remember what it was. But that's not the point of this show. The point of this live stream is to say that stupidity is dangerous. David said, 3rd Avenue is all Palestine. You can't go out to eat in Staten Island without running into someone from Brooklyn. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I believe that, etc. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend from Staten Island. Her mother was from Brooklyn. You know, but they moved out there. And yeah, like people from Queens. A lot of them go to Long Island. The smarter ones go to Florida. But I'm up here in New York with the snow. Yeah, no, but stupidity is dangerous. Like, if you move to Staten Island from Queens, you're probably fucking stupid. You know, from Brooklyn, it's understandable. You know, if you move there from Queens, you got problems. But I know people that grew up in Staten Island and they left, and they don't tell people they're from Staten Island. Like they're embarrassed about it. They tell people they're from like where they are now. Like they moved into the city or whatever. When I say the city, I mean like Manhattan. They don't tell people they're from Staten Island. They say, yeah, I'm from the city, or I'm from Manhattan. I'm from Midtown or whatever. Like, no, bro, you're from Staten Island. But that's okay. I understand. I get it. I would probably hide it too, I don't know. David said, fucking snow sucks. It's fun when you're a kid. You get a snow day, you don't have to go to school, go sledding with your friends, whatever. It's awesome when you're a kid. Awesome. As an adult, it's just like, ugh, this again. But it's also how you play it. You know what I mean? If you got a quad or something or a snowmobile, you can fuck around when there's a blizzard out. The cops ain't gonna bother you. You could just drive down the street in a snowmobile and nobody's gonna bother you. A friend of mine who passed away, my boy Pinky, that was his nickname. My friend Josh, he passed away. Josh passed away. We were 21, and he was too wild for life, man. He had a motorcycle. He loved quads, motorcycles, all that stuff. I love quads. Motorcycles is just I know myself. I'll kill myself in one of them. But quads are fun. But I would love to have like a Harley or something and go cruising on. I would love it. I would love to have a Harley, something like that. But it's maybe when medicine advances and they can fix broken necks and all that a lot easier, or not easier, when they can fix them, then I'd love to have a Harley. But right now, I just feel like I don't think I'd last. And especially not in New York, you want that like out in the country and stuff, like, because it's so dangerous to drive one. But my friend Josh, he got into he bought I think he had like a dirt bike, or it was a motorcycle, like a Kawasaki or something. I forget what he was driving, but it was another car, like a Camry, that blew the stop sign and hit him on the side, and it took half of his leg off. And then he died like I guess 3 months later, something like that. But he loved it, man. In the snow, he would sell weed and stuff. Like if he was still alive, he would have like a million followers. He'd be like an Action Bronson, something like that, something along those lines, like an Action Bronson type character. Like, I think he actually knew Action Bronson from Bayside, because he's from Queens. I know Bronson was friends with a dude that lived in Josh's building, or the building next door. They went to Bayside High School together. But anyway, I remember in the winter, Josh would, when it was like a blizzard or something, he'd have like his little quad, and he sold weed, like 20 bags, whatever. He'd drive around on the quad, drop it off weed to people. Like he loved it. And a lot of the times with the cops, it's just, if you're respectful, they'll be respectful back most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And you got to remember with the cops, it's just like they almost have to assume like everybody they speak to is lying to them, or may not be telling the whole truth or the partial truth or whatever. They deal with the lowest forms of life on a daily basis. They see crazy, tragic stuff, and you have to just become numb to it to do that job. And I remember one time, it might have been like 17, maybe 18. It was there had been a blizzard, there was snow on the ground, and we were in like up Crocheron Park, and it was a couple of us, and we were just like smoking weed and sledding or whatever, right? And we're not like 12 sledding, but it was like at night. It was probably like 10, 11 o'clock at night or whatever. And you're not supposed to be there when it gets dark. You can get a ticket, even arrested for being there. But we're like sitting on like a little hill or something, and just, I don't know, maybe we're 17, 18, smoking a little bud or whatever. And the cops came by in their car, in the blue and white car. And like, what are you guys doing? But they were cool. They didn't bother us, because we weren't bothering them. We weren't bothering nobody. We're just kids hanging out. And I miss Josh, man. He was a good dude. He's missed by a lot of people. But yeah, man, no, he would be on YouTube with he'd probably have 1 million followers, something like that, and like an Action Bronson. He's like a wild kid. Like he'd be like a connoisseur. He'd be like smoking weed and going to restaurants or whatever. You know what I mean? Just trying out different food. And he always had the scoop on like the new spot or some hole in the wall he found with awesome. Like he found this Vietnamese spot in downtown Flushing by Main Street down there. I don't even know what the name was. We went there for years and just called it Viet. Let's go to Viet. And they had these like $5 plates or maybe $5.50, whatever. It was like cube steak with white rice, and we would get that and like a Sprite, like a soda or something. And it was like $5 or whatever. This is like in 2002, 2003, and then the years afterwards, we still went. But he found this. We were like in high school, and $5 would fill you up. It was just like an awesome dish, like a cheap. It was like cheap, like peasant food, basically. Some little hole in the wall, and it was fucking awesome. But we would go there sometimes, just like one or two of us, or like a group of us. Like I got five on it, basically. Light up an L in the car or whatever, or in the park, and go over there. And I'm not advocating drug use, and definitely not smoking weed and driving. That's very dangerous. I remember growing up, some people would say, "Oh yeah, you could smoke weed and drive. It's not like liquor." No, it's all intoxication. If you're intoxicated, you're intoxicated, and it's dangerous not just to you, but to other people on the road, to parents taking their kids to soccer practice. I'm not advocating that at all. It's very bad. Don't smoke weed and drive. But we would go over there, stoned out of our minds, and to this little hole in the wall in downtown Flushing. And most of us would just order I think it was number 54 on the menu. I'm pretty sure it was 54. Let me get a number 54, whatever it was. The cube steak with the rice, and it had like cucumber slices. And it was like the best dish for like $5, peasant food, but Vietnamese peasant food. It was awesome. But Josh wouldn't just get that. He'd get that, and he's like, let me try this on the menu and try that on the menu, like stoned out of his mind. And he would be like an Action Bronson. That's what he would be, basically. Not an exact replica, but just, and he would have a fun YouTube channel, like whatever he would be doing. It would have been something hilarious. David said, "R.I.P. Josh. I miss you, man. I hope you're in a better place, and I hope I get to see you again one day. I hope you were Big Lou up there laughing." But David Dunn said, "What do Italian people have to do with Gaza?" So Blame April said, "Italian silence on Gaza is disgraceful." Yeah, what do Italian people have to do with it? I don't. Maybe there's something you're referring to. I'm not sure what it is. Hey, Chris, do you have anything lined up in the future with A-Light? Ask me in the future, respectfully. Dave Dunn, Chris, how did A-Light get elected to office in Jersey? When he first took, I'm not positive on this, but when he first took office, I think he was appointed by the council. There was a vacant seat, and I could be very wrong. I'm not sure, but I guess it was like a year later on or something. It was back in March when he took office, but it might have been like in November where there actually was an election and he was reelected, but he wasn't elected the first time. I think he was appointed, and now he's been elected in. It was. I'm not positive on what. I don't know the details, so please don't quote me. But David said that rat, he's a scumbag, not even a rat. Calling him a rat is like an insult to rats. He's just a very evil person. Bad guy. Bad guy. People don't even know the half of it. David, he was appointed. Oh, there you go. David, he was appointed. David said he was friends with the mayor or something. Knowing John A-Light, he's probably got blackmail material on that mayor, because that's what he does. Anybody here, you ever mix with that guy? He's a guy that's like everybody's friend. Like he befriends people. Like I interviewed so many people over the years that they said a similar story. I thought he was like my best friend. He's like an expert in making people think he's their best friend. I thought he was my best friend. I thought he was my good friend. We were tight. We were like brothers, whatever. And then he screwed them over. He robbed them. He tried to steal their girl or spread lies about them. I heard a lot of stories in that category, a whole bunch of them. And A-Light is also a guy who knowingly he'll plot this out years, months, sometimes years in advance on people, just to collect like blackmail material on them or material to that he can use against them if they ever turn on him. Or he'll spread lies about people like so far in advance just to discredit them later on. Drinking and driving and smoking is not near the same thing. What I'm saying is that if you're intoxicated, you're intoxicated. Your reflexes are not there. And if you're intoxicated, you should not be driving, no matter what drug it is that's intoxicating you, or substance, or drink, alcohol, whatever. If you're messed up, you're messed up, and you should not be behind the wheel. Gravesend said, but I'm pretty sure you got voted in now. That video Chris made shows how dumb the people of Englishtown really are. I wouldn't. I don't like to generalize. I know there are people there that don't like him. They don't all like him. But John A-Light is a master manipulator and an expert con man. He's not like long-term smart. He's short-term smart. Like, he's very cunning, but he's a guy that consistently screws him over in the long term, kind of like John Gotti Jr. in a way. But like, he screws himself over in the long term by fucking people over that are like loyal to him as friends in the short term. They're very similar in that regard. And I've told the story. It was a few months before I stopped working with John that I was in his office one day, and there was another party there whose name I'm going to leave out of it. But, and that other party may not have even picked up on it, what the guy had said. But to me, because I had known him for much longer, many years, by that time, over 6 years, and the other party, maybe a year and a half, something like that. I'm not sure. And the other party was not an expert on John A-Light like I was and what he was up to. But so it may not have rang significant to that person, but it was like an unguarded moment. And he said so. He described himself as like a better version of John A-Light, almost like in passing, an unguarded moment, I think is a way to say it. And the other person, I don't even know if they picked up on it, if it meant anything to them. But to me, I was like, yeah, that's what you are, dude. You're a better version of John A-Light. That's exactly what it is. You're smarter. You love your family in a way that the other guy doesn't. And but you screw over your friends. You can be a great friend socially, but in business, you have no problem just completely fucking over, lying to, manipulating, deceiving your own friends. And it's just like, instead of doing that, if you return loyalty from a true friend, instead of trying to get over on them, yeah, I understand business is business, but that doesn't mean you should try to like deceive your own friends. Like, so are we really friends then? like what? And you'll get much farther in the long run taking a different approach with that kind of stuff. Rocco said smoking all depends on the person. Yes, some people, they say they can smoke and drive, but what I'm saying is, if you're intoxicated, I hear where you're coming from, but and yes, drunk driving is a totally different thing than stone driving. But if you're intoxicated, and you should not be behind the wheel, because you won't have all your reflexes. You won't be as aware. If you're smoking weed, you might be paranoid. And, stupidity is dangerous. The title of this video, this live stream. And driving intoxicated is stupid to the point that it's dangerous. David said, that was funny when you went there, LOL. Listen, man, some people thought I went there to make like a joke out of it or whatever, but I had a very serious reason I had several reasons for why I went, but the primary reason was a very serious reason. And it was something I just wasn't able to speak on at that time for reasons I'm not going to get into. Just something I couldn't bring up, but there was something very serious going on. And one day at a later date, it might not be for a while, but one day I'm going to speak about that. And, but now's not the time, but I'm just going to say that John A-Light is a very, very bad person, an evil person. And I heard very similar stories from a number of people that they didn't realize who he was until they found out the hard way. Some of them said they were warned about the guy. Like with John Jr., I've heard people say that, I was warned about this guy. He fucks everybody over. He's one of them people that just fucks everybody over, And business-wise, I'm not saying as like friendship, but sometimes people don't listen. And sometimes you just got to learn the hard way yourself. That's life. And with A-Light, I heard similar stories from a number of people that, I thought this guy was like my best friend. I thought he was like my true friend, because that's how he's an expert at making people think he's like their best friend in the world. Meanwhile, he's fucking plotting on them behind their back. David said, how does Angel platform Loman if he lived with A-Light? That's such a long story. I can't even get into it right now. It's 7:29 in the morning. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I haven't slept. It's such a long story, but Angel and Elio Forcina saved Jeff Loman, and they vouched for him and gave him credibility, because Jeff Loman would not be Jeff Canarsie. He wouldn't be here on YouTube today if it wasn't for Angel and Elio. They saved him, and I don't want to say rehabilitated him, but they, after all the fucked up things he said about her and myself and her brother, just trashed all of us with crazy, demented, defamatory lies, really disgusting stuff. And then he falls out with A-Light, and they embraced him. I understand just like being cordial to him and taking his information. I interviewed him at length after they fell out. He contacted me one day in July 2016, and he was scared for his life. He wanted to speak to the FBI. He was worried A-Light was going to kill him, all kinds of stuff he was saying. But I understand being cordial, whatever, you know what I mean? But they like embraced him and like went around like vouching for his character. I'm like, do you not remember the fucking crazy lies this guy told about? Not like little white lies, like bad, disgusting lies, dude. But it is what it is. Angel, her stupidity is dangerous, and her stupidity in certain things with Loman has proven dangerous on several occasions. Dangerous, I'm not saying violently dangerous, but just in certain ways, just the stupidity is dangerous. Park Slope Kid said, that one small ass town, the main street is like 3 blocks, and they have 4 weed dispensaries. Nothing fishy there, right? Yeah, nothing fishy there, right, Mr. A-Light? David Dunn said, you can't even mention John Jr. name in the conversation with certain people. They don't even want to hear that name anymore. You can't even mention John Jr.'s name in a conversation with certain people. They don't even want to hear that name anymore. My brother. Right. Chris, you should go on Joey Snuff's show, LOL. I like their show. Foss, where did you go? Proctor got you. I don't know where he is. Oh boy, hold on. We got something coming up over here. Let me go through the comments. I remember you said something about the guy who wrote his book. Mandelbaum helped him with all that. And Mandelbaum wasn't even credited in it. Or you talk about A-Light. David Dunn said, I agree with what you said about business-wise. You should be loyal to your employees, especially the ones who did a lot for you. Yeah, it's like if you make a representation to somebody, honor that representation. And if you don't honor it, don't get mad when that employee or partner or associate or independent contractor, whatever it is, if they're not like focused after that, or they get like resentful or whatever, don't blame them. Blame yourself, because you said this and this was going to happen, and then you didn't deliver for that person. But then if you go and deliver for somebody else, a stranger, don't get mad, man. Be mad at yourself. Saved him from what? Saved. I'm not sure what you're talking about. It's 7:32 in the morning. I haven't slept. iDubbbz said, or is that L-Dubs? I don't know. Is that the real iDubbbz? I don't know. But he said, fight me, meet me in Bayside outside my daycare center. For the sake of the children living in that daycare center, I hope you don't really live underneath a daycare center like you have claimed. Is that really the real iDubbbz? I don't know. Is there a way to check? I don't have YouTube open. I'm on StreamYard. I don't know if I can check. But outside, meet me in Bayside. I offered to meet you in Bayside, dude. You didn't take up my offer. If this is really you, this guy started threatening me one time. I think this was in I think it was in late 2023. I don't remember when this was. It's on my community page somewhere. I memorialized some of the threats this guy made, or early 2024. I don't remember when it started, but this guy was just on there like threatening me and stuff. He's gonna assault me. He's gonna knock my teeth out. I don't whatever crazy things he said. And then I offered him to me. I said, "Well, why don't we meet up tomorrow?" And he started making excuses, and I don't remember my exact words, but I offered, "Oh, okay, not." I may have even said, "Meet me in a couple hours. I'll meet you. I'll meet you now." Whatever it was, if it's really that serious, and he didn't take up my offer to meet, and then he kept he just went on making more threats and going on. It's like what? I thought about just walking around Bayside for 2 hours, live streaming, where's iDubbbz, and telling him I'm down here. Where are you? But he's got his stupidity is dangerous. iDubbbz is a very low IQ. He's a moron. Maybe not by choice. Maybe he was just born. Maybe he got dropped on his head. I don't know. But if you had iDubbbz in your social circle, that's dangerous, because that guy is going to do stupid things, and it could endanger you by extension. Very stupid things. And I'm not even saying that to insult him. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to insult him. I'm just saying he's a stupid person, and he was probably born a very stupid person or dropped on his head, and you can't really blame him for being so stupid. But having somebody like that in your circle is dangerous, because he's going to do very dumb things, and it's going to affect you. Hey, Dubs, what color crayons are you eating this morning? See? Gravesend knows what he's allegedly talking about. Allegedly. We're not saying iDubbbz eats crayons. But I'll say, and I think David will agree, we wouldn't be surprised if we one day found out that he eats crayons, particularly the green ones. Oh, iDubbbz said blue. Oh, saved him. You're talking about Loman, right? Who said something about saved him from what? From just he was going to be sued for defamation. He had nothing. His thing with A-Light collapsed. He was working with him. The connects he met through A-Light allegedly collapsed when A-Light started spreading what were allegedly false statements about Jeff. Just saved him. He wouldn't have had anything, in the sense of just they embraced him, they gave him amnesty, if you want to call it that. They took him in, and they began vouching for his character to people, I remember it was in 2018, I want to say, around the time I first started getting to know Damian Trites and Chicky Chickatelli. And if I remember correct, because it's what now, 7:36 in the morning, I haven't slept. If I remember correct, Damian, I guess, called me or something to ask, he just asked me, what's up with this guy Loman? Who is this guy? And I'm building a friendship with Damian. We had met, we got along well and everything. And Angel got mad at me for being honest with him. And I didn't get into his whole fucking history, Loman, but I just told him the general story of what happened to him. I remember Angel getting mad at me, oh, you badmouth Jeff. I was like, no, somebody who I'm friends with asked me for my opinion. What I'm supposed to do? What, lie to him like you? Nice, yeah. The guy lived with the A-Light. There's paperwork on the guy. I didn't release the paperwork, whatever. But and this guy spread lies about us. And then Damien asked. I remember whatever it was I said to him. It was almost like he was scratching his head on the other end of the phone. And I don't say that to insult him, but I think he would agree. And he wasn't wrong to ask. He's like, but I don't get it, though. If he's what you're saying in this, it's not like he was calling me a liar. It was more like he was just trying to understand it. But I don't get it. If he lived with A-Light and all these things, why is Angel friends with him? And vouching for him. Because Angel would when she would vouch for him, she would leave out that he spread these lies about us. They lived with A-Light and all that. Maybe sometimes she mentioned it. I don't know. I don't remember the statistics. But, and if you want to embrace him, whatever, that's your business. But don't go on there and lie for the guy. Just be honest. That's all. And then later on, Damien, and I told him and Chicky with Jeff, I said when he offered them roles in his pilot based on a video that we had put out, and they got offers to be in another pilot also for the Mob King, I think it was, based on this like improv acting thing we had put out. And then that also got Damien into Witsec Mafia too. But I told them, like, don't feel bad for this guy and don't believe anything he says without proof. And they just had to see him for themselves and to see like what a crazy liar this guy really is. Like, you can't really understand it unless you experience it. Like, what is this guy's a nut? This guy's a fucking demented mental case with his crazy lies. Like that his grandfather, his whole family was in the car. They were racing the Patriarchas to the beach, and his grandfather, while they're racing down the highway, while they're racing the mob boss of New England, the most powerful man, one of the most powerful men in New England. I don't know if he's more powerful than the governor or whatever, but like the governor ain't gonna have you murdered, of Massachusetts or Rhode Island. He ain't gonna have you murdered. Ray Patriarcha allegedly will have you wearing some men's shoes. Would have had you, allegedly. And Jeff tells this crazy story. It was in 2016. I was like, it might have been like 2 years ago. I don't remember when, but I was just looking through some old files and recordings and stuff that I had. And I was listening to this podcast where he did in 2016, where he's telling this crazy story that they're racing the Patriarchs to the beach, and his grandfather takes out a metal peanut can, and he would do this apparently on a regular basis in the summers when they'd race them to the beach, and they're flying down the highway, and he's urinating in a metal peanut can while racing his Cadillac against the other car with his family in the car. And I was listening to it. I wish I knew this in 2016 that he said this. I just downloaded his show, I guess. I didn't listen to it, but like that defies the laws of physics. If you're holding the peanut can in one hand and you're holding your Johnson in the other hand, who's holding the steering wheel? And how is the urine not splashing all over the inside of the car in front of your family? And what? You whip your perk out in front of your family? That's like pedophile stuff. Like what? That's crazy. That defies the laws of physics. Anyway. iDub said, fight me. We covered that. Gravesend said, hey, Dubs, what color crayons are you eating this morning? iDub said blue. I had said green, but okay. Well, allegedly, I believe I said that we wouldn't be surprised if we found out he was eating crayons, and I said green. David Dunn said, iDubs, you're a real genius. I would ask what he got on his SAT score, but I don't think he knows what an SAT is, what it stands for. I'm not sure. iDub says, I have 4 teeth. I thought he had like 6. David said that's a fake iDubs. Yeah, that's what it appears to be. David said he really does live on top of a daycare center. I heard he lived in the basement underneath the daycare center. It's fake iDubs said, I don't come out daytime, only night. Gravesend said, funny. The old-time Greeks and Italians were known to marry each other first cousins, and you can see the kids were a little different element. Hey, I'm half Greek, man. I'm Argentine and Greek. I mean, I'm from Queens. I grew up in Bayside, but I'm Argentine and Greek. And as I've previously posted, iDubs is a disgrace to the Greek American people, to the Greek people. Do you believe the story A-Light tried to throw it in Loman? I believe that they are 2 demented fucking people, and God only knows what the hell went on when they lived together. I've heard certain stories, and what actually happened, God only knows. Like, who knows what crazy stuff. I mean, there's some things that I was told by Loman that were corroborated by other sources and documentation, whatever. Some things, other things rang true. Like, I believe that what he said. Other things I didn't believe, and other things it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, that could be true or false. I have no idea. And he told me when I interviewed him on video, and he had said previously to Angel, and I think also to myself, I don't remember, but that when he lived with John A-Light, one night in the middle of the night, A-Light came into his room naked, in the dark, buck naked, and sat on the edge of his bed and like started telling him about his problems in life, something to that effect. And is that possible? Absolutely, but not because A Light would have been sexually attracted to Jeff Loman, because John A Light is a demented freak, and he may have had a hidden camera in the room somewhere to get like a picture of him naked on his bed, so he could. So if Jeff Loman ever turned on him later on, he could just whip out that picture and make it look like they had a homosexual relationship, or just maybe he. I mean, it's if he did sit on his bed naked, I highly doubt he was sexually attracted to him. It was probably more just like plotting how if something went wrong later on or Loman started popping off about him or telling the truth about him, A Light could whip out this picture or something that was secretly taken to get to shut him up, basically, to extort him or blackmail him, whatever you want to call it. So if he did do it, I doubt he was sexually attracted. It was probably for some other nefarious purpose in Johnny Light's twisted web of lies and mind games. Rocco, I believe it, David said. I got no reason not to believe it that he sat on his bed naked. I have no reason not to believe it with those two. But would he have been sexually attracted to Jeff Loman? That I highly doubt. Chris, you really own the rights to Witsec Mafia. I own the Witsec Mafia social media pages. And I think it's time I put John Gotti Jr.'s 302 on there. And with that, I'm signing off. Well, hang on a second. Hold on. I'm muting. Hold on a second. I'm back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. McGilla Gorilla said, two freaks cuddling up in bed together. I doubt there was any cuddling. And if Johnny like did have some kind of sexual relation or anything like that with Jeff Loman, I'm telling you, it was not out of being sexually attracted to him. It was to get it on film or a photograph or something that he could use later on to put him in his place if he ever had to. It was probably as simple as that if it actually happened. And if I will say that if it wasn't that, if Loman made that up, I guarantee you some other should happen in that category, or A Light was conspiring to make something like that happen, to put him in an awkward position, get a naked photo of him or something. That if he hadn't done it yet, he would have done something in that category and got it on film. That's what I believe. Rocco said, yeah, they were racing to get the primo spot next to the porta potties. Loman said, whatever, right? Why would Ray Patriarch be using a porta potty? Why wouldn't he just go to the regular bathroom? Chris, you definitely have the goods on Junior for him to be trying to silence you so bad. I've got some good stuff that I haven't put out yet. I will just leave it at that. And yeah, I think a great place to start putting that material out, things I haven't spoken on, is the Witsec Mafia social media pages. I think that's the perfect spot for it. Fuck you, sue me. Angel's definitely watching in the bushes. Possibly. Janine said, good afternoon. Good morning. It's 7:48 a.m. here, Janine. How are you, my beautiful friend? Hang on a second. Janine said 12:48 here, my friend. I'm good, thank you, Chris. I'm good. I'm glad you're good. I wish you well. You know that. And it's 7:48 in the morning. I need to get some sleep. But listen, stupidity is dangerous. That was the theme for this wonderful episode. And if anyone would like to hit the like button or donate, you know how to do that. But stupidity is dangerous. Be careful who you have around you. Like John A. Light, having Jeff Loman around him was stupid and dangerous. But that's a story for another day. And it was stupid and dangerous for Jeff Loman to be around John A. Light. So look how that turned out. But sometimes stupidity, while it can be dangerous, while it is dangerous, real stupidity, it can also be hilarious from the outside looking in at how stupid some people are. But to that person headed towards that iceberg, you know in your gut that I'm right. Listen to what I'm telling you because you didn't listen before. Listen to what I'm telling you. Change directions or don't. Janine said, hit the likes, please, guys. Thank you, Janine. Yes, please hit the like button. And McGilla Gorilla, whatever happened to Jimmy A-Light? It's spelled A-L-I-T-E, but I'm sure that was not intentional to misspell it. Whatever happened to him, well, maybe I'll bring him on. Who knows? Oh, boy. Maybe I'll put a quote from him on the Witsec Mafia social media pages. Janine said, choose friends wisely. Yes, absolutely. Because stupidity is dangerous, and people's stupid actions can be very dangerous and affect you as well, even though you had nothing to do with them. Janine said, is Jimmy still alive? Well, he's out there still. Stupidity is dangerous. Have a good day, everyone. Peace. Avoid to that person. Change course, change directions. Because I'm telling you, there's a disaster headed your way if you don't, of epic fucking proportions. Of epic proportions. I'm telling you, you know I'm right. Be well, everyone. Thank you for being here.